Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here, and in today's video we're looking at some of the best decks to climb wild with post Kael'thas nerf. We're going in order of class, not by tier list, so I'm not ranking the decks, but based on my 18 deck slots, these are the best decks that I recommend that you climb with. Starting with Demon Hunter, we have Deck Tech's Odd Demon Hunter. It's the Demon Hunter everyone's used to seeing, with the addition of Mage Hunter. Moving to Druid, there aren't many Druid decks at the moment because of the nerf to Kael'thas. Deck builders are still brewing up new archetypes and new variations of old lists, but we have Aggro Druid, which is a ridiculously aggressive deck. It runs Lightning Bloom for ramp, Adorable Infestation to give a minion +1/+1 and give you a 1/1 cub on the board and in your hand. Runs Dribbling, which has Spell Burst to summon another Dribbling. Has Intrepid Initiate, 1 mana 1/2 Spell Burst, gain +2 attack. And it has Ferocious Reader, 2 mana 1/3. At the end of your turn, draw until you have 3 cards, and you get to tilt your opponent by making them hear her go to the library, which is probably one of the most annoying voiceovers I've ever heard. Moving over to Mage, we have a lot of Mage to cover, starting with Quest Mage. This is Cream Puff's Quest Mage. This is the go-to list I would recommend. It's running 1 Thief as well as 1 Maker instead of Primordial Glyph and Banana Buffoon. The point of running these minions that generate spells is that the Book of Spectres is much more reliable. Secret Mage, everyone's favorite deck. It hasn't changed. Everything is the same. It's a good deck. Free wins. Reno Quest Mage by Photon. So this list here is running the 1 Thief because it's just such a value, such a great card for any sort of quest-based mage, as well as the 1 Maker, so similar to the regular Quest Mage. It's also running Firebrand, which is a 3 mana 3/4 Spell Burst, deal 4 damage randomly split among all enemy minions. So being able to play this with, say, a 1 mana spell is really good for board control. It's also running just your standard Quest Mage thing that you're used to seeing. It's not a very greedy list, but it's a list that's going to get the job done. So it's a more aggressive list than some of the Arena Quest Mages that you might see. And the last mage list to look at is Rena Mage. So this Rena Mage runs Sphere of Sapience, which makes sense because Rena Mage typically never has a turn 1 play. So this is great to play on turn 1 to help control your draws a little bit better. It's a Luna's Pocket Galaxy list. So we see the Book of Spectres, we see the Luna's Pocket Galaxy down here. As for the minions, pretty straightforward minions we're used to seeing in these style of decks. The Eater of Secrets is a tech. If you're not running into too much mage, maybe don't run it. Barista can be a little bit too greedy sometimes, so if you find that she's not helping, maybe replace her for something more anti-aggro. Raz Frost Whisper, which is a 5 mana 3/6 at the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies, improved by spell damage, so you can try and buff that a little bit to help you get some board control. But just an overall solid list, not too greedy, not too anti-aggro, just kind of middle of the line to get the job done. Moving on to Paladin, we have Odd Paladin. Odd Paladin Tour Guide is an excellent tool for Odd Paladin, giving you 3 1/1s on turn 1 if you choose to do so. It's also running Goody 2 Shields, 3 mana 4/2 Divine Shield, Spell Burst, gain Divine Shield. It's also running Blessing of Authority, which is a really interesting card. 5 mana, give a minion +8/+8. It can attack heroes this turn, but who doesn't want to turn one of their Silverhand recruits into a 9/9? It's a solid card, and it fits well into Odd Paladin. Mech Hand Buff Paladin is pretty much the same as we're used to seeing. There are some techs though. It's running Nebula Weblord, and this really helps against mages with their Battlecry minions as well as other archetypes as well. And this list is opting to remove Jeeves and instead go for Ferocious Reader, which to be honest makes perfect sense. It's a 2-mana minion that does what Jeeves does. It doesn't matter that it's not a mech. You don't play Jeeves because it's a mech. So this is a solid list. Moving on to Priest, we have Elite's Reno Priest. This list reached #1 legend. I've featured this list already on this channel. It is not dragon based, it's cycle based, and it's based around cycling through as fast as possible to get your Polkelt, to help you get your Raza or your Shadow Reaper Anduin if you haven't got them already, and then you spawn a Shadows to get very quick lethals. Mindrend of Elucia is in the deck. It's now 3 mana. Doesn't matter. Whether it's 2 or 3 mana, it's a solid card. You want to have it in the deck. Moving on to Rogue, we have Corbett's Kingsbane Rogue. So this is a different version that I featured in the past. So this is a anti-aggro version running Ship's Cannon. This build makes more sense if you play on the Americas server or the Asia server, which is typically more aggressive. But if you're playing on the Europe server, I might recommend Kohai's list instead, which I featured in previous videos. Paradox's Odd Rogue. This is an interesting list that I really want to try, and so I'm going to have to craft Jandas to give this a spin. But some cards to look at here that are interesting are the Coerce. So we're not running the Vilespine Slayers, we're running a single Coerce instead. 3 mana spell, destroy a damaged minion, combo, destroy any minion. I'm interested to see, is this better than Vilespine Slayer? I don't really have a strong opinion at this point. This list is also running Volpera Toxin Blade, 3 mana 3/3. Your weapon has +2 attack. And the Jandas Barav, 5 mana 2/1 Battlecry. Summon 2 random 5-cost minions. Secretly pick one that dies when it takes damage. The value here for Wild is there are a lot of very strong 5-drops that have Death Rattle, Sludge Belcher, Rotten Apple Bomb, to give a couple examples. So this is a really nice card to have in Wild. Moving on to Shaman, we have Cream Puff's Big Shaman. So this is a little bit different than the Big Shaman list I featured in the past. This list is running Devolving Missiles as well as Devolve. So redundancy is sometimes a good thing. It can help make the deck a bit stronger. And this list is running 2 Walking Fountains. The list I featured earlier didn't run the Walking Fountains, it just ran the Scrapyard Colossus and the Asharj. But the Walking Fountains are nice, especially if you are playing on in a very aggressive meta where you really need that extra heal. Even Shaman, pretty standard looking list for Even Shaman. The totem builds are the way to go. This specific list has a little bit of experimentation in it that you might want to try out. It's got the Diligent Note Taker, 2 mana 2/3, Spell Burst, return the spell to your hand. So this could give you, say, a free Crackle, an extra Portal, an extra Totemic Surge, for example. And the list is also running Mana Feeder Panthera, 2 mana 2/3, Battlecry. If you've used your hero power this turn, draw a card. And one thing with Even Shaman is sometimes you do run out of cards. You have very limited card draw, and so this is a nice addition to the list. Moving on to Warlock, we have Soda's Dark Glare Warlock. As many of you have probably discovered, Dark Glare Warlock is incredibly powerful. This specific list and many others that are similar are designed to cycle through your deck really quickly, get your health total really low, and then get these giants out as early as possible and knock your opponent in the face. Discard Warlock. There's nothing special about this list. It's just the Discard Warlock we saw before the Scholarman's Academy expansion. However, it's just a good deck, so give it a spin if Dark Glare isn't working for you. Incidentally, this list runs Dark Glare, but the synergies aren't as strong compared to Dark Glare Warlock. Another Warlock deck with no changes is Cube Warlock. There's nothing different about this list. It's just your everyday Cube Warlock. This is not the egg-based build, but just the more demon-based build, which works better in a slower meta. If you're in a more aggressive meta, you might want to try an egg-based list instead. And finally, Warrior, King's Bounty's Pirate Warrior. There's nothing new in this list, but it's Pirate Warrior. It's a good deck. Unfortunately, Kingsbane Rogue kind of does the same thing as Pirate Warrior, but a lot better. But if you got some Warrior quests to churn out, this would be the list you want to go with. However, if you'd like to make your Warrior quest climbing a little bit more sleeper or slow, I could play Odd Warrior. This is an Odd Warrior list that I believe I've featured in the past. I still haven't crafted Lord Barov. I probably should. But this is a pretty ordinary list, nothing too fancy. It's got Kobold Sticky Finger for the Kingsbane Rogue. If you don't like the Archivist Elsiana, you can pull her out for a Dr. Boom Mad Genius, but otherwise, this is a solid Odd Warrior list to climb with. You will find the codes to all of these decks in the YouTube description below, and if you're a mobile user and you cannot access those deck codes, you can join my Discord. There's a link below. Go to the Deck Lists Only channel, where it's much easier to access the deck codes. And if you'd like to support this channel further, if you aren't already, you can click the subscribe button, click that bell, and until next time, hope to see you again.